My name's Jan Zaboro, and with the Phragmites Advisory Board in Clay Township, which was started in 2010, and that was Mr. Williams over there. Bob Williams was the founder. And back in 2010, this room was full of people. We had a lot of people here, and it was like standing room only. And we made a big dent in all the Phragmites in the township on private properties, and a lot of people benefited from it, and the ones that didn't just didn't keep up with the program. It's usually a 3-year treatment that you have to keep up with it to make an effect on the growth. So this here is the Phragmites control presentation here, and questions today. Answer today will be controlled chemicals, where, the cost, the cutting, safety, equipment, when, and permits to have. We have the permits just to fill out your applications. So the problems with Phragmites are blocked views. People spend a lot of money bought waterfront property, and in the process, they you can sign in up front there, please. And their properties were blocked views to the river and wildlife and so on and so forth. This is a picture of Bob Williams' property. Back in 2010, you couldn't see the barn for the amount of Phragmites and the height of them, and this is where it is today now. And again, the problems with the Phragmites are, the big problem is a fire hazard. That stand of Phragmites over there is right next to a shed, and where they have to catch on fire, the shed would be gone, and any other buildings involved in the area. And then you have power lines. When we did have Phragmites catch on fire around power lines, and the cable companies had their cable underneath there, it fried the cable, and then they have to string new lines. So it's a big cost there. It clogs the water intakes to like the Fermi 2 power plant there. And if the Salem 1 nuclear reactor was shut down because of problems with the blocking of the cooling water intake by vegetation, such as Phragmites. And once the Phragmites take over an area, you will not have any other vegetation growing there, because they completely take it over and snuff out the existing plants, and no wildlife can live in there because it's just impossible to walk through or crawl through anything. Frogs, snakes, turtles, anything. And like I say, with the access to your rivers and canals, it chokes them off, so it becomes a problem to navigate through there, and that's what you end up with, is a choked navigation of a waterway. And it dries out wetlands, reduces property values, damages landscaping. It's a navigation hazard on roads and waterways, and hinders search and rescue operation. There's been quite a few car accidents in the area because of the Phragmites before they started treatment on them, when they blocked views to go across roads and make accidents, and people had actually died because of it. So the Phragmites came in the early 1800s trade with Europe. And in your handout you can see where these different areas are, how they spread through the years. From 1910 to 1960 they show there. When did it become a problem? You know, here's a picture of a car that was in the movie The Godfather, and that was taken on Staten Island in 1972. Those are all Phragmites around there. There's the Statue of Liberty in the back right there. And where does it grow? It grows anywhere it can plant a seed. It's retention ponds, along waterways, residential areas, railroad right-of-way. They spray all that stuff these days. Along expressways, small hills, and large stands of land, utility sites. In the city, construction sites. Here a guy put a foundation in and didn't finish the house, and He had a Phragmites grow in his foundation. Practical Phragmites control. Homeowners do small sites, limited resources, do the work themselves, and they want fast results with complete removal. You have to focus on the details. Conservation agency take care of large sites. They have short-term funding. They hire contractors responsible to provide the greatest service for the money, and they look at the big picture. Different goals, all these factors can affect your problem, your approach to the problem. Results, homeowners get 99 to 100% control if you stick with the program for 3 years. Invested continued control, that's what I mean. In 3 years you gotta hit it your first year you're gonna see good results. You do your cutting or burning. The second year you'll have less than half. In the third year you'll do spot treatments, and you just gotta keep after them just like dandelions. If you don't spray for your dandelions, they always come back. Conservation agencies, they didn't have a great success in some of their programs because the funding wasn't available. They tried to attack too big of a piece of property, and they just didn't. Some spots they did control, but they didn't have enough money and didn't approach it quite right. How does it spread? By seeds and the root system, the rhizomes. You can see here where there's a root system on top of the ground, and every 6 inches you'll see a plant coming up. You can take and cut those rhizomes in pieces, and as long as they're touching water, they'll keep growing. So they have to be chemically treated. Here they're growing up right through asphalt. Here's a parking lot in Berkeley that we have here in 2012. It was growing between the asphalt and the sidewalk there. And then in 2013, a year later, it was that much. They grew that much. And Belle Isle Pond in 2011. In 2015, that's how they were growing then, so 4 years later. What can we do to control the Phragmites? Prevention, clean equipment being brought on site, early detection, know how to ID Phragmites and rapid response, start controlling it the first season it's found. Can I dig it out? Digging, tilling, pulling will help it spread. Like I said, you dig it up, you rip the roots up in pieces, it'll just keep growing. If you take that pile of dirt and move it somewhere else to fill somebody's yard, and it's got the Phragmites seeds and the roots in there, you just gave them a present. One exception to not pulling it out is, cutting every 2 weeks for years may set back a small standalone patch. Goats and sheep have been used to graze areas infested, and they will eat it, but it will just keep growing back. Cutting and burning alone usually encourages growth. It opens up the ground, it makes the ground warm faster in the spring, and it gives the plant a head start to an early growing season. With an exception to that is you can cut it below the water line. I think they say like 6, 8, or 10 inches below the water. If you cut it there, the plant drowns out. It can't shoot up through that deep water to continue growing. Here's a stand here. It was cut, and later in the season it grew this high. And let's see. Landscape fabric is not compatible with supporting other plants. The roots may spread outside the covered area. The University of Cornell is trying for some kind of biological control experiments. The only thing that is working here is flooding, cutting, and burning in combination with multi-year herbicide applications can control Phragmites. That's what works now. The best control without using herbicides is achieved by drowning the plant by repeating cutting the stems below the water line. The best control without flooding or cutting below the water is achieved with a multi-year plan of cutting and burning in combination with herbicide and surfactant applied mid-August through September. How can we get herbicide into the plant? Foliar spraying, cut and dab, or glove of death. Foliar spraying is with a backpack or bigger equipment, and cut and dab is when you cut the stem off and you dab the existing plant with like a 50-50 combination of water and surfactant and the herbicide. And the final one is the glove of death, where you wear a rubber glove with the cotton glove and you dip it in, what's the solution on that?
That'd be the same as the foliar spray.
Okay, 50-50. Oh, the foliar spray?
Yeah.
Well, whatever's on the direction of the thing, and then just take and wipe the leaves of the plant. That's if you have a garden area or an area where you don't want to spray, because your overspray will damage your plants that you want to keep. Why cut or burn along with the herbicide? You stresses the plant, allows soil exposure and blackening to encourage your native seed bank germination, allows chemicals to reach a live plant surfaces easier, and allows better human access to it. So you don't waste chemicals in last year's Phragmites, meaning that if you spray a stand and you don't cut it or burn it, the next year you get a combination of the green mixed with the dead foliage, and what you're spraying is half dead and half new plants, and you're wasting your chemical on that then. And you'll get better coverage with all green plants in there, like this here shows after it's cut. This is the new growth, and you got all green plants where you can spray that effectively. See, not pre-cut. The applicator is trying to spray over the top of the dead ones, and this is pre-cut, so it's a lot lower, and you can go in there and spray off fresh growth. When's the best to cut or burn? November to May, not within 2 weeks following herbicide treatment. If cutting with riding equipment, is best time to cut to avoid cell disturbance is when the ground is frozen, late January, if possible. My biggest mistake in 10 years of Phragmites control, not pre-cutting before the first season of treatment. To get a nice fresh growth, you want to cut out all the dead stuff and other plant, and get a nice new growth like that when they're more vulnerable to the chemical there. And MDEQ cutting recommendations, no lower than 4 inches from ground or water. 6-inch minimum of native plants are present, and up to 12 inches where there are tall native plants. What was that again about? The 4 inches and 6 inches and 12 inches?
Yeah, that was just because the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality wants us to try to preserve the good native vegetation as much as possible when we're cutting.
Gotcha. Okay. Then they'll go up past those and you can spray the
Right.
top of the Phragmites then.
Yeah.
What to do with the cuttings? Burn them standing in place only by professionals. Burn them in place but mowed down first with fire breaks. Burn them after mowing and move to piles or rows. Roll down and leave in place. Mow down and leave in place. Mow down and move to degraded areas or trails. Mow down and remove from the site in bulk, or hand cut and bag them for removal with trash, and hand cut and bag the heads only and remove with trash. The heads have the seeds in them, so you want to remove them for sure. Getting started, make sure to identify Phragmites and distinguish it from other plants. There's the Phragmites there, the big bush on top. And what are these, the native ones here on the right?
They're both
They're both Australians?
Yep.
Okay. And wild rice is a little bit different looking here. Cattails, everybody knows cattails around here. Rushes, right? Sedges, Indian grass, big blue stem, landscape plants. That's where you want to use that glove of death. If you have Phragmites like growing up in this mulch around your ornate growth there, you give them the glove of death, but these other ones are not susceptible to the chemical. So you got native and non-native Phragmites. You make sure you ID native Phragmites. It's a tough one, you know. They're smaller, they don't grow as tall, but in my experience, they grow together in the areas. So there's native Phragmites. As you can see, they're a thinner stand. They're sparsely, they're small, they're more fragile, and these are the bigger ones, the Australias that we have to remove. And here's some of the equipment you can use: backpack sprayer, a hand pump sprayer, ATV mounted sprayer. Here's a unit on the trailer that they were spraying over by the Browns field on Harson's Island there. And there they are again, spraying that area. This is a little tractor setup I made when I was on the side of my house that caught on fire, almost burned me down one time. But when the water was low, I had a tank up there with a pump, and I put a nozzle in a remote spotlight on a boat, and I could articulate that nozzle with the from down below on the tractor to spray that high stand. The weeds were that high, as high as the light is up there, or the spray attachment. There's the cutting equipment that they have. Great Lakes Phragmites cutter, you'll see that in your handouts over there. You can call him up and he can come in there and cut any large stands that you have. Chemical definitions: pesticide, a chemical for preparation of destroying plant, fungal, or animal pests. A herbicide, a substance for preparation for killing plants, especially weeds. An herbicide is a type of pesticide. A surfactant, a chemical agent capable of reducing the surface tension of a liquid in which it dissolves. It's a wetting agent, so when the chemical hits the leaves, it doesn't beat up and roll off it. It wets it out. On dry land above ordinary high water mark, you can use Roundup. That's a herbicide, a surfactant mix. Anywhere near water, you can only use DEQ approved glyphosate or surfactant, which is what the township supplies. Well, it doesn't supply, you buy it through the township. The mix is herbicide, surfactant, and water, and a water conditioner if you need it. If you use well water, they recommend using a water conditioner. And the dye is optional to show where you sprayed from. And we hadn't had much success with that dye. It's hard to see. Well, why mix your own chemicals? DEQ approved aquatic formulas are not available pre-mixed, ready to use, or out of the bottle. You can mix your own herbicide comparable to Roundup for about 1/5 the cost. In Michigan, do homeowners need to be certified to mix and apply herbicides? No, people can mix general use herbicide products themselves, and they can apply them themselves if in compliance with the label requirements, including the use of personal protective equipment and disposal, and they are not doing it for commercial purposes and not in the course of employment. So there's no problem with that. In Michigan, do volunteers need to be certified to mix and can apply herbicides? No, that's the same story there. As long as you're not getting paid, then it's a volunteer, and it's okay. Phragmite herbicides approved by DEQ. It's labeled caution as opposed to warning or danger. It's a general use pesticide, not classified by the EPA as restricted use. It's a systemic herbicide taken into the plant and translocated to the roots. And it's non-selective and or broad spectrum, will kill most other plants it contacts. And it will. Phragmites herbicides, imazapyr, can be applied in the fall and or summer. Has a little better control rate than glyphosate and costs about 7 times as much as glyphosate. And that's called Habitat. And then the glyphosate is applied to Phragmites only in the fall. And, it's called Accord, Aquamaster, Aquaneat, Aquapro, Aquastar. The latest we've been supplying is the Aquaneat. Last few years we've been getting that. And this is a toxicity chart that shows the different products that are available to the public and their toxicity levels. And, you know, you'll be able to read that and see, you know, like nicotine, you only need orally 50 milligrams or micrograms. And down to where glyphosate is, you need 5,000 to give you some detrimental effects. And it goes on to caffeine, hot sauce, bleach, aspirin, even vinegar is more potent than glyphosate. Surfactants, that's the enhance the spreading and sticking and wetting of the properties. It's recommended. It's the only way to use is with a surfactant, which is called Signet Plus, and that's approved by the DEQ here in Michigan and to be used here in the water area. Water carries a herbicide to the plant cell, and 98% of your mix will be water. Glyphosate is a mild acid in water, can split into pieces and connect with larger molecules. The parts are not split more readily absorbed by plants. Hard water or dirty water can split the glyphosate, so that if you got a muddy water or hard water, it'll get attracted to the particles in the water and weaken the effect of the solution. Here it is, desirable water quality, clean, clear, and free of organic materials, low mineral content, and slightly acidic. We never had to worry about using a water conditioner around here, but that would be if you, I guess if you use well water, you use that.
River water is fine.
River water is fine, yeah. Preferred water, distilled, soft water, municipal water, clear lake water, clear, clean rainwater, not well water or pond water. Application rates of maximum allowed per treatment are 6 pints per acre of this glyphosate, 1 pint per acre of the Signet Plus, and the water conditioner if needed. That 6 pints per acre is a day?
Yes.
A day. So you can spray 6 pints on that one day. If you think you missed a spot, you see some different spots in a couple of days, you'll see where it didn't brown out yet or it didn't start to wilt, you can hit it again with no problem.
How quick is it gonna wilt?
Pardon me?
How quick is it gonna wilt?
Oh, it takes a while to wilt, but you know, a lot of times you'll be able to see it the leaves will start to tip over like that, and it's starting to do its job, but it won't turn brown for 3-4 weeks. You can tell the difference between a healthy plant and one that's been...
Yeah, if it's still green in 2 to 3 weeks, I would respray it.
Right. So for mixing a gallon, that's in your handout too. I won't go through that, you can read that. This was my biggest mistake in 10 years of Phragmite control, not applying multiple treatments in the first year. So like he says, wait, after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you see some areas that aren't taking effect and you hit them right away. And you'll be able to catch them all in the first year. Retreatment. And you can read all that there, yeah, in your handouts. Samples of Phragmites needing retreatment. As you can see, there's green mixed with the dead. So that's where you got to cut that year. And then the next year, you'll have just the green spots coming up, the dead ones that won't use your herbicide, your new herbicide that you're going to put on. There's samples of Phragmites needing retreatment. There's again a thinner spot. It was cut down as you can see it, and all the fresh growth is growing up through your cut down, and you can treat it much more effectively. There's treatment, Phragmites needing retreatment. The Wipeout Program, Williams Invasive Phragmites Eradication Outline. Prior to June, pre-cut, August 15th, treat. September 1 through the 15th or 30th, retreat any green Phragmites, and October 15th, post-cut. And here's the solution mixtures for your wipeout program that Bob came up with there. Different active ingredients for different treatment methods. There, you can read that in your handout. Chemical availability and costs, it's all written out here. The 2.5 gallons is $100, and if you buy Short Clear, a quart costs $50. So that's the difference between what you buy through the township and what you would buy from different agencies.
Yeah, just to clarify, the township is charging $70 for 2.5 gallons this
right.
year.
It's $70 and then $30 for the surfactant, so it's
Yep.
$100 total.
Yeah.
Right. So this here shows you on the cost. It'll cost you, that's with a gallon of Short Clear plus, yeah, you can read that. Larger, more economical purchase option, that's what we have there, so it's like $75 per acre of treatment. And with the other one, with the Short Clear Plus, it's $240 an acre per treatment. And here's your two different chemicals you use. When the treatment in southeast Michigan, mid-August to end of September, not after the first killing frost, and not within 4 weeks of the last cutting or burning. So you want to just let it start growing again after you cut and after you burn. If you burn early, late summer, or before you go to your mid-August treatment. Before treatment day, check the weather reports, post sign as required by permits. Is spraying over water, close down potable water intakes within a half a mile. Review your plan and reread the chemical labels. Check the weather reports is very important with your wind drift. Whichever way that wind's blowing, if it's going towards somebody's house or someone's lawn, that lawn will be in trouble if it gets that wind drift going from your Phragmites to their property or your property. Treatment day, not too windy unless you want the wind to carry the herbicide into the deep stand, which is a beneficial weather event to happen. No rain, it needs 6 hours set time. Sunny increases absorption. Spray the leaves and stems to coverage without drip off, and if possible, spray while walking backwards. And try to use all of the mix that day or soon after. Clean all equipment and save the rinsate for next time. So when you rinse your hand sprayer out, your backpack sprayer, put that in an empty container, and when you mix your next batch up, you can use that water in there to enhance the solution, your next solution. Keep good records on what's going on, take some pictures, dates, times, all that. That way you wanted to try to remember, like I can't remember sometimes. After treatment day, do not enter the swim area for 24 hours. Potable intakes should remain closed for 48 hours and be patient. Don't expect plant discoloration. Don't cut or burn for 2 weeks. I'd wait a month. Glyphosate products are labeled caution. Follow all instructions on the labels. Use proper procedures and use recommended safety equipment. And you can read the safety equipment's in the handout there. I want you to wear dedicated clothing, long sleeve shirts, long pants, clothes, shoes and socks, gloves and a hat. Same thing with your mixing protection there. It's up to you what you want to use there. Now if you're a messy person and aren't too coordinated, you might want to wear a lot of this stuff. I don't know. Usually you can be pretty careful with it. Emergency information, it's on the label on the container. Store your apparatuses there in containment buckets. And keep them in a locked storage cabinet to keep away from children. Here's a measuring bottle you can purchase, and or you can use just like the other picture showed a measuring cup, measuring device there. Spill contamination pan, yeah. Abbreviated herbicide safety procedures, you'll be able to read all that on, don't smoke, if possible, wash the gloves and footwear. Pesticide safety tips from the state of Michigan, you can read that in a handout. So you never spray outdoors on a windy day, it's always important. Some more suggestions. The permits that we have to remove, to burn, to cut, to herbicide. That's the permit that Clay Township gets. It's a blanket permit for everywhere in Clay Township. And you're all involved in that. Permits to remove Phragmites. Do not remove, dig, or till or pull Phragmites. It doesn't do anything but spread them, which was talked about before. And if you want to burn them, it's recommended you tell the fire department. They'll give you a burn permit if they think it's safe for you to do it. You're in an isolated area where it's not going to spread or get in anybody's harm's way. They'll come out and monitor it for you with a truck. Permits to cut Phragmites. Well, we already went. We got that permit, so. Yeah. It's all stuff you can read there. You've got the individual permits, general permits. You can hire a contractor if you don't want to do it yourself. They have to have a pesticide application business license, a Category 5 aquatic pest management certification, a Category 6 right-of-way certification. And if you go to their website down there, I guess they're all listed on their program there. Here's some pictures of view enhancement during spraying and after spraying and cutting. Here's recreational access. Looks like somewhere around here. Before and after, they're all gone. Fire safety again, right there. In the fall, or in the winter time, if that were to catch on fire, that shed would be gone. Now there's no problem there. There's cattails going where the Phragmites used to be.
The whole root system's gone after this is all said and done, after treating it for 3 years?
Pardon me?
The whole root system's gone?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, it goes. That's what it's all about. But you got to keep after it.
Right.
They're tenacious little critters. Yeah. And here's that spot in Berkeley there again. In 2012 it was small, and 13 it got big, and 13 in the fall they treated, and 14 it didn't come back. That was a small area.
Those were all growing up in the cracks between the pavement and on one property and the pavement on the next. There wasn't more than like a couple of inches between them, and these suckers found it and built a fence.
Those seeds went in that crack and they start to grow. This is I don't know, is that the pond over there by Brown's Field?
Yeah, that's Brown.
Oh yeah.
That's how it used to look before.
That was before the first treatment, right?
Yeah.
And then the treatment, they're all browned out there, in winter cutting, and then after, well, they dredged a little bit afterwards, but as you can see all around the edges there, they didn't come back. Those are cattails growing around there now, 2 years later.
We still go back and spot treat that, because every year you see a couple of them trying to come up, but it takes 10 minutes now to go over there and do it
Walk
instead
around
of.
the backpack sprayer and hit them.
Yeah.
Right. Long range planning, fall herbicide treatment for 3 years in a row with annual winter cutting and burning will give you good results. Try the outliers first, and the outside of the area, and work your way in. Work with your neighbors, photograph your progress, and be patient. And some of the resources you can contact on the internet there is phragmites.org or the Michigan DEQ Phragmites webpage. That's it.
Good job.
So anyway, Bob's handed me over the torch. He's going to retire. He started the program in 2010. Like I say, the place was full of people back then, and it was a big problem. I guess it's not so bad now with the high water. And it looks to me like a lot of people are more, have other things on their menu now. You know, with this high water and that, and this Phragmites, so. But it's all here for you.
So what do? You do it all for us?
Pardon me?
You do it all for us?
I do it all for you?
You do it all for us?
I'm looking out for you, yeah.
All right. Nobody's wanting to cut where we're at.
Where's that at?
We're,
Oh, across from Decker's?
we're across from Decker.
Oh, yeah. I sprayed over there for Melanie Levati over there, and,
We're in the same spot.
what's his name?
James,
Huh?
Brandon.
Brandon, he's supposed to be here today too.
Right, he's our neighbor. We're on that island with them.
Oh, okay.
So we want to spray that whole stand behind us, which is probably 10 acres or so.
And I sprayed that a lot years ago.
So.
Yeah, it needs it
But
again.
how do you cut that? How do you spray it and how do you cut it?
Well, we got a, township has, I'm gonna have to get some pictures of our equipment up there too. You're gonna have to show me how to do that with that.
So
Okay.
can we
Pontoon
hire
boat
you
we
to
have.
do it?
Pardon me?
I guess what I was asking, can we hire you to do it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you got a cutting
You're
rig
hired.
that'll, you got a cutting
I'll be
rig
there.
that'll get out there?
Pardon me?
You got a cutting rig that'll cut that?
That one you saw up there that Marsh Master's called, that Bob Bryson has?
Yeah.
He's cut out there before, but I don't know if it was right where you guys were, but what the heck was his name? That guy works at,
Seems like I brought a guy out there last year.
a couple years
And
ago.
last year was too high. Last year was too high.
Well, the water was too high.
Well, it's higher now.
I know it. So I don't think that's what I was saying to Mike over here, you know, how deep the water is. I mean, the Marsh Master can navigate some water, but I mean, if those trash can hit hard ground, I don't think he'd be able to pull himself through those tall stands.
Right, so.
You'd have to ask him though, I'm just
All right,
speculating.
so does this work without cutting?
Well, you know, the presentation showed, you can kill it, but you're gonna have the dead stands there for quite a while. That stuff doesn't break down.
Well, it's a pretty big stand, so is the fire department gonna give us, we kill it, they're gonna give us a permit to burn that as a lot?
Well, you know, if
Standing,
it's
pretty big
burnable with the amount of water that's in there, as long as you got a wind that's blowing out of the north, it's gonna blow away from your cottages. It's just gonna go straight out to the bay.
That's where we want it to go.
Right. So that would work. Yeah, that would work.
So we treat it, burn the stand standing,
Oh, yeah.
treat it again next year,
Then
burn
treat
it.
it again, yeah.
Wait,
And eventually it'll dissolve, so we got navigable water.
Yeah.
Huh?
so wait a minute.
You'll be able to see across the lake.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of beavers in there. They're just
Yeah.
off the bank, yeah?
Yeah. A
Or
lot of
something.
beavers around now.
I think they're beavers.
Oh,
Maybe
muskrats. A lot of muskrats.
Muskrats,
Yeah.
yeah.
There are beavers out there though.
But they don't come on the
Because they're
island.
friends off the side.
That's because you got a steel
They
seawall.
can't get up
They
the wall
took some
until.
trees
They
down.
get it, they come around the front, they can, because we got the lowest
They planted
seawall, so
trees
we can't
and
see
then
them.
then they were back.
Lots of
Oh,
water.
geez.
Yeah, buy a cottage, it'll be fun.
The deal with the muskrats is that they gotta have some ground to eat on. I mean, the way I see them, you drive around the island or anywhere, they're sitting on the side of the road eating.
Yeah.
I guess they can't eat in the water. You know, I don't know. Looks
We
like it.
don't really see them too much once in a while, but we see little mounds of dirt, and then once in a while you'll see one in the back canal.
Right. Okay, so you got your applicant form there,
I did that already, I
Okay.
turned it in.
a check for
Did
$25
that
with it.
already?
Pardon
I
me?
did that already.
Okay, good. And then you put your chemical order in.
We don't know what we need though.
Right. We got a little bit of time. I think the due date on that chemical order is like in June. I'll take it right out there. And you guys, you live out there? You don't live out there?
No,
We're
we're
out there on
out there
weekends.
every weekend.
Right. I got Brandon's phone number, so I'll get in contact with him.
Did you
And then,
treat Brandon's last cottage off the snide?
Did
That's-
you
we
burn
bought
it
that.
down?
Oh, you
We
bought
bought his
that?
old
Yeah, you did a
island,
pretty good
yeah.
job.
Oh, boy.
How
He
did
just
they-
bought that house. And then, I don't know what happened. Or he caught it
I
on
thought it
fire.
burnt down.
It did burn down, we bought the island,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but some, they said
And
that
cleaned it up.
he treated it behind there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, because if we wanted it retreated,
Right.
I mean, there's still an opening there, but it's definitely closing in.
Yeah.
Well, what I did was, I walked along and cut them underwater
That's
with a
good.
gas-powered hedger,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and pretty good success,
yeah,
Well, now with the higher
Without
water.
treating it?
without
we
treating it.
treated it.
right,
So he drowned them, because that's
You drowned 'em out.
something, what I read about was the drowning.
right.
So I
That
did
worked.
And what height? Above the water level?
I went below the water
It's
with
below
a
the
gas-powered
water.
hedger, just kept it out of the water, basically, the motor out of the water, and had the whole blade and everything underwater.
It's a hedge cutting blade though,
Yeah.
It's a hedger.
not a weed whacker
Yeah,
blade.
it's
No,
not
I
a big
understand.
Sickle
Yeah.
cutter.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand.
but it's
Right,
gas-powered, pretty heavy duty.
Didn't you use electric cord?
You only cut the waders once.
All right, so that got you below the water 6 inches?
Yeah, it worked good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's,
now with the water higher.
it's a workout, but
Are you
if you just
building
peck away at
that
it,
one?
you can get some, cover some
No,
ground.
Yeah?
I don't
Did you buy
think
it?
we are. You
I
know,
actually bought a
the
used
shed
gas hedger.
That was left
Yeah,
there,
fix it up
it's
and-
big, and it had a sleeping loft in it.
It's worth buying a good one.
So we
Worth
just
buying
live
a
on
new,
Cardinal,
more
so,
powerful one even,
um,
Oh,
because it
yeah,
works
right
good.
across.
yeah. So we're not that
3
far.
foot, 6 foot?
You got a good seawall.
Oh, the
We
blade
got a great
itself
seawall, you know.
might be
And one
28
thing you get done,
inches.
you'd be able to build something there.
Yeah, we're getting, hopefully,
Walk along.
solar's going in this year.
You say just walk.
Started
It's hard
last
to
year.
get anybody to come.
Oh, it's a
along.
workout. It's a workout, but you just do a little bit
It's
at a
hard
time.
to get contractors, they're all busy.
Yeah,
Economy's good.
yeah.
Okay, folks.
All right.